Welcome back, Community Focus. Glad you could be with us this evening. Kenny Fogle here. We got Rachel Briney here from the Lincoln Trail. Now, let me make sure I got this part right. I know they don't call it the health department anymore. Yeah. What's it called?
Lincoln Trail District Health Department.
District Health Department. Okay, so we want to make sure we got that right. And today we're going to talk a bit about the basics of handling food safely. I know food's pretty important to some people.
Oh yeah.
I
like to eat.
So we like to eat. So I know we've talked about raising vegetables in our own garden and how more healthy that is. But basically, you have to handle your food. Like I know, just myself, I'm an amateur cook, I guess you would say. And one of the first things they always teach you is how to deal with chicken. I know when you get a raw chicken, they say it's one of the you can spread germs all over the place.
Right.
And I'm probably one of the worst about that.
Yeah. Well, the main thing people need to know is when they start at the grocery buying the groceries, they have bags for the meat, for separate meats for that. So you need to do that. People don't usually put, when they buy the prepackaged bacon or the prepackaged blanc, that can still go in a bag. Because even if you stick your ground beef in a bag and that bag leaks all over that, it just takes a very sliver of something to be open for that meat to contaminate everything in that cart. So people really need to use those bags and tie them up. I'll see people put food in the bags and they don't tie the bags. I'm like, what are you doing? Or they stick it on top of their vegetables.
Yeah, well, everybody trusts that the little piece of plastic's not going to break.
Yeah, so you need to make sure when you store it in your cart. Meat over here, fruits over here, vegetables over here, just like you do at home. You don't store them together.
So what do you do about the baggers? I mean, when the bagger, especially they put the eggs on the bottom and drop the milk.
Well, you need to, specifically, even if you have bags, I use the recyclable bags, and I even say, this one specifically is just for the meat because it's plastic inside and out. It's not the cloth ones.
Yeah.
So, and I'll say, meat only goes in this bag. And they're like, okay.
Okay, so food handling starts at the grocery.
Starts at the grocery.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when you come home, of course, separate it. If you don't use the meat within, if you're not going to use it within 2 days, you need to go home and freeze it. And then, taking and freezing it for a while. But if you're going to go home and cook it, you can put it in the refrigerator. But if you're not going to use it for a while, meat only stays good for 2 or 3 days. And then you got to cook it or you're going to need to toss it.
Well, how long will it last in the freezer? I mean, it's not indefinite, is it?
I don't think it even matters as long as it's frozen.
Now, if it gets moisture into it or anything like that? Out.
Needs to go.
Okay, so if you open the package up and it's ice crystals all over it, it's over, right?
Yeah, you need to let it go. That's why when I tell them that when they buy the meat, stick it in a Ziploc bag or zip it up, stick it, double protection, get it in there. And if electricity goes out, we've had some storms come through already.
1 or 2.
If that meat thaws, cook it. Go ahead and cook it and then refrigerate it because you can keep the refrigerated after you cook it for about 4 days.
Oh, okay.
So that people don't realize that either.
Yeah. Well, I did not know that.
If it's raw and it's in the refrigerator, 2 to 3. If you cook it leftovers, 4 days. If you freeze it, as long as it's kept frozen, you're good. Yep.
Now, how's this go for vegetables? Say you got a package of broccoli, open it up, and it's full of ice crystals. Is it still good, or is it?
I would go by taste on that one. I don't know too many people that freeze broccoli.
Well, I just use that as an example. But I freeze green peppers. I freeze a lot of green peppers in the summer because I love them in my chili in the wintertime. Now, occasionally I'll get some in, and it does have little ice crystals on it. I use them anyway. But I don't. I just want to make sure that it's not like meat. Vegetables and meat, 2 different things.
Right. Yeah. Now, if you do have meat and it is frozen and you need it that night and it is frozen, microwave, cold water in the sink, or if you have time in the refrigerator. But do not, people will just leave it out on the sink. Don't do that. That is one of the worst things people can do. And don't run it. A lot of people will put their frozen meat in the sink and run hot water over it. It's thawing it too fast.
Well, that's another thing I was going to ask you about. I know people say you don't want to wash chicken in the sink or anything like that because it does, like mention the bacteria and everything. Some people say don't even wash chicken at all. You just fry it.
If you cook it thoroughly and you use the thermometer, and if everybody has a thermometer, everybody should have a thermometer in your kitchen. Everybody should have one. You'll kill all that bacteria. So you don't have to worry about it. But the reason why they say don't wash your chicken is because when you're washing it, water's splatting all over that counter. If you don't wash that counter, you've done. You contaminate everything on that counter.
Now, when you talk about that, I do use the thermometer when I'm out grilling out on my grill. Now, I don't use it all the time when I'm cooking in the house, but when I'm out on the grill, the thermometer does come in very handy. And it basically the recommendations are, well, mine's built into it. If it wasn't for the one built into it, I didn't know exactly what it would be.
Yeah, because I can't keep them straight either. That's why my thermometer. I know poultry's cooked the most, and some of your other meat's not cooked as much, and But if I don't, those temperatures throw me, and I can't. If you were to ask me now, I'd be like, I don't know what you're supposed to cook it at. Read the thermometer. That's why everybody needs a thermometer. So you can't.
Okay, well, you're going to go out. Well, it reminds me, if you're going out, and when I grill out, and I like my steak very rare. I don't know how most people, I know what the health risks of that are, but if I'm going to eat one, I'm one of these people that I like mine very rare to medium rare. I could go, if it gets a little worse than that, I don't, to me, it's,
right.
You're eating shoe leather, but that's my taste. But is that healthy? Is eating steak rare, or does it matter?
That's your preference. I prefer mine with just a little pink in there, so I can't do anything that's still moving on my plate. I can't do it. I can't do it. I just, ugh.
Well, like I said, I just want to make sure the health reasons. I want to make sure I'm not doing something to myself when I move. So raw vegetables. I mean, obviously steamed vegetables are better for you than. I know we've had this conversation before of a healthy eating. It goes hand in hand, I think, with handling food.
Oh yeah, and washing the hands. People don't realize how little they wash their hands. You need to wash. If you're doing meat and vegetable, make sure you wash in between, and don't do, like you open up the ground beef and you stick it in the pan, and then you grab the handle of the pan. Well, now you contaminate the handle of the pan. So ground beef to the trash to the sink.
I'm glad you don't follow me around too much.
I know. People don't realize they do it until I point it out. And they're like, oh, I do that. And I've done it in the past until I started the health department, and the environmentalists went, you're doing that wrong. I'm like, what am I doing? I didn't know I was doing it. So, it's just, it becomes a habit. So.
Now, the health department, now while you're talking about handling food safely, you're also involved with the restaurants and things of that nature. I mean, you make sure that people are handling food safely, or else they get a rating that's not real good. Yeah,
that's our environmentalist. They do that. And it is an ordinance that they have to have that posted at a restaurant in eye view. They can't be behind their tax license. They can't be behind the trash can, So if you go to a restaurant and you do not see it, you can call us, and that's against the ordinance for them.
Now, that's a number. I mean, some of them you see go and have an 85, some have 100, but some have A's, some have C's, and you just rate them. So if you go in and you see one that's a low rating, which in my opinion is probably 90 or below or something, maybe even more than that than below, but what do you do? Could somebody call the health department?
Well, it's listed on that sheet. Read the sheet.
I've never actually read one of the sheets.
It will have them circle, tell you and then on the bottom it will say, and it could be simple as they needed to paint a wall. It could have been the sink wasn't cleaned out. It could have been something, the bathrooms weren't clean. It could have been something someone had nothing to do with the food. That's why when they get those ratings, the first thing out of the environmentalist matters.
Read the sheet.
Read the sheet. What the sheet say, because they do so many, they can't rattle it off the top of their head.
That's true. So, well, as I said, there's a lot of things that goes on in the health department, and I know last time we were in here, we were talking about prevention more so than I know. Obviously, you don't treat people when they get sick.
No, we do not.
You prevent before they do. The flu season came and went.
Oh, yay!
Did we do okay?
Well, I think we did well. Well, I mean, everybody had cases, and then they went up and up and up, and we weren't. I want to say at one point in time, Kentucky was way up there in the flu cases, but I think every state had their turn. I think it just kind of the way it went, and I think so. But I think we hung right in there with the rest of them.
Well, good. And I know for a while the measles were getting to be an issue in some parts of the country. I don't think we heard much of it around here.
If it has, I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, well, good. So we maybe dodged the bullet on that.
I hope so.
So, is there anything else that we need to be concerned about right now as we're going into it's not the cold and flu season right now?
No, but with all the cookouts and people having the buffets, after the food's been out for 2 hours, they need to put it up. Throw it away.
Well, that is a debate. I've had issues with people that had cookouts before, and some people say you can keep it out most of the day, as long as it's still a little cool.
Well, if it's inside and it's, have an air-conditioned house, you're probably going to be okay with that. But if you're having a picnic outside after 2 hours, you need it.
2 hours.
Put it up. Throw it in the trash or put it in the refrigerator. And then when they reheat it, they got to reheat it thoroughly. 30 seconds, stir it, 30 seconds, stir it, make sure it's all heated up because it's been sitting out, bacteria starting to grow. So when you stick it in the refrigerator, the bacteria stops. So when you microwave it, you're killing the bacteria again. If you don't do it properly, there you go. And a lot of people probably do have foodborne illnesses and probably just think it might be an upset stomach or an intestinal virus, and they realize it might be foodborne. So.
And some of it, like you said, could be minor and could maybe get okay in the next day or so. Some may require physicians going to the doctor, but I guess you'll know the difference basically just by the severity of it.
Yes, I mean,
How would you know? Now, and I know you're not a doctor, and I don't want to put you on the spot.
I don't know.
How do you know if you've been food poisoned?
You have to go to the doctor.
You go to the doctor and find out.
I know, because they've had them call the health department and say, I have had food poisoning. They go, would you go to the doctor? And we have to have confirmation. The environmentalists can't say, oh yeah, you've had food poisoning. I mean, we can't.
Yeah, you know, can make a diagnosis on that.
So that we have to get that order from the doctor saying, yeah, it's food poisoning. It was, you know, salmonella, and they ate at such and such, and then that will be filed away.
So somebody's going to get the steak out of the freezer, or the burgers out of the freezer, and they're going to go have a cookout. Cookout's not for another hour or two. What are they going to do with all this? What are they doing if they're going to say they're traveling somewhere? Should they have it in a cooler? Obviously, they got it.
Are they taking the meat?
Well, somebody's got to take the meat.
All right, I would keep it frozen. If you're traveling for 2 hours, that meat will probably be okay by the time you get there, because I have traveled and like gone on vacation and froze my sausage and put it at the bottom and put the ice on top of that and the other cold drinks on top of that. By the time I get to my destination, it's thawed out. And it went real slowly because I had ice on top.
But you don't want to thaw it out then take it with you. You want to make sure just leave it in the freezer as long as possible. So again, that's why we don't want to get anybody. We don't want to get anybody sick out there this year. As we're getting into the hotter that gets in the season, I'm sure the worse it's going to get as far as food and being contaminating quickly.
That's why I always tell people, if you're going to have a buffet, make sure it's inside your house.
Okay. All right. Was there anything else we need to know? I know you stay busy every month. It seems like you have a disease of the month or something going on.
I do that. No, just make sure you wash your hands.
And I think you said it last time we've been here. I think we're bad about that. Most people are. Now, some people aren't. My wife is not. She got the little sanitizer. And we have every meal. I have to go through the sanitizer.
You used to see my fingers there, just raw for me washing.
Well, you've been around this. You see what happens. And that's, again, hopefully you won't see what happens. But again, we want you to handle food safely. So, Rachel, appreciate you coming in here and keeping us up to date on that. Because we are getting into the time of year when picnics and going out. And you don't always know what somebody else is doing, so you got to pay attention. And again, I'm very glad you all do what you do at the restaurants, because I don't usually read the piece of paper on there, but that number is very important to me. If I see a number that looks pretty low, I do get a little concerned.
And if you want to know before you go to a restaurant, you can look it up on the website.
Okay, so everything like that's on your website.
On Lincoln Trail District Health Department.
Okay, is that just for this local area, or
for our 6 counties? Okay.
So. Okay, well, I did not know that was on there.
You can look it up, and then if they're going to Louisville or something, they can look on Louisville's. Okay.
Now, if somebody I had somebody tell me a little while back they wanted to report a discrepancy at a restaurant they saw. Is that something people do sometimes?
Just call it, and the clerk will write it down.
Okay.
And then every one of them get checked. Okay. Every one of our environmentalists get checked. Now, they might not get checked that day, but they will go and check and say, we've had a complaint.
So if you see something a little icky at the restaurants you go to, you might want to give the health department a call, because they want to know that, and I do too.
Yes, we do want to know that, because we can't see it all.
No, you can't. So, well, I appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate you being here today, and hopefully we'll have you back again soon.
Thank you.
Rachel Brownie here from the Lincoln Trail District Health Department here in Nelson County. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll hopefully you learned something today. I know I did. So stick around. We'll still keep on learning. So thanks a lot. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time here on Community Focus Channel 6.